Okay, what I wanted to talk to you briefly about right now is what I believe is the most pivotal battle of the entire Revolution. A lot of folks around here would say clearly it was the Battle of Kings Mountain, and I can understand why they have a vested interest in that. But I think that the battle we're going to talk about now has more far-reaching and more impactful influence on the American Revolution as we move forward. Okay, so the battle we want to talk about is the Battle of Saratoga. Okay, this is a portrait of General John Burgoyne. In 1777, General John Burgoyne took command of 7,800 soldiers in Canada. He had over 1,000 camp followers, cooks, laundresses, musicians, things like that. Over 400 Indian scouts were serving with the British at that time. And he had over 400 horses. These horses were pulling cannons, artillery pieces. So there was an enormous amount of artillery, enormous amount of soldiers. This was a massive army. This was only half of an army that was supposed to meet together around Saratoga and then march over through New York and cut off New England from the rest of the colonies. It was a major push by the British, this battle. Okay. Now, General Johnny had over 30 trunks of personal items. The musicians were his. He believed that the only way you can properly digest your food is to have a group of musicians playing while you're dining. Okay, even the British soldiers called him Gentleman Johnny because his good china, all of the fancy goods that he had carried with him. Now, he expected help from the West. Another massive army that had come down the St. Lawrence Seaway was supposed to meet with him there in the around Lake Champlain area, and they were going to march across New York, seize New York City, and cut off New England for the rest of the colonies. That was the big plan. Gentleman Burgoyne was coming down this direction through Vermont, right, and coming here to New York. The other British soldiers were coming down the St. Lawrence Seaway, would land here, and were going to march east. And so they were going to come together with over 10,000, well over 10,000, 15,000 men, and then they were going to shoot across and just crush this rebellion in Massachusetts, and then move their way down to New York City. That was the big plan. Okay, that was the big plan. Unfortunately, the Western Army is stopped in August. Okay, Benedict Arnold is one of the commanders there who helps to stop. As a matter of fact, I think it's that battle that Benedict Arnold has his leg shot off. If you want to Google the monument to Benedict Arnold's leg, it's shortly after this. He's relieved of his command and he's placed in charge of West Point, and that's where he tries to sell out the colonists to England. Okay, so what's going on with Burgoyne? Burgoyne's coming down Lake Champlain, right? He's going down. When they arrive, Fort Ticonderoga, there were 3,000 colonial troops there. They flee without even fighting. Why? Because they're more than 2 times outnumbered, plus Burgoyne's got almost 400 artillery pieces. These guys are going to flee. Now, from July the 6th until October 17th, it takes them that long to go to Fort Anne and Fort Edward and make their way down to Saratoga. Why so long? Because after they flee, the locals start harassing Burgoyne's army. They'll take trees along the path. Since they have so many artillery cannons that are on wheels, they have to stick to the roads. They can't go through the woods. And so what the colonists would do is they would drop a tree across the road, then they would drop another tree across the road, and the trees would still be anchored to the trunks, connected to the trunks, but they would block the road. And so every couple hundred yards there was this blocking procedure. And so what the colonists are doing is these little raids, these little activities that are meant to demoralize Burgoyne and his troops. They also get behind them and disrupt their supply chain. So they stop food supplies from coming down to Burgoyne's troops. Burgoyne's troops are pretty much demoralized. Okay, so why is this important, right? Once Burgoyne gets down here to Saratoga, he's met by Gates and Stark. The two of them attack Burgoyne. Burgoyne turns and comes back. September 9th, the first battle. October 7th, the second battle. And then Burgoyne surrenders finally on October 17th. It is a glorious victory. I mean, this is why, one of the reasons it's important. We capture all 400 cannon. We capture all 7,800 troops. His entire force is surrendered to the colonists. So in that sense, it was a great victory. But it's far more important because of the French. Okay, far more important because of the French. The French are supposed to be our allies. Now, the French have been selling us supplies, weapons, gunpowder, but they haven't come out officially in recognition of the colonies, nor have they signed an alliance. We've been busily trying to get them to sign an alliance with us. But that's going to be problematic. It's one thing to secretly sell gunpowder and weapons to the colonists so that they can watch British colonists kill British troops. They sort of enjoy the symmetry in that part. But for them to come out openly supporting the colonists would mean they would have to declare war on England. And before they're willing to do that, two things have to take place. The first is they have to be guaranteed we are going to break from England. So what they need is some kind of a, I don't know, what would you call it? A declaration of independence? Okay? Which actually, by the time the Battle of Saratoga happens, has taken place. Matter of fact, about a year before these battles start, the colonists have declared independence from England. But the second thing the French need is they need some kind of assurance that we can do this, that we can actually beat the British, that we can beat this disciplined army, that we can hold our own. Once this happens in 1777, the French agree to sign an alliance with the Americans. And they're going to give us 10,000 troops, and they're going to give us a portion of their navy so that we can use their navy to fight the British Navy. Now, all of this was extremely important because without the French, the additional forces, the Navy, at this point the United States Navy, the American Navy was about 4 ships. I guess by the time 1778 rolls around, it's about 4 ships. So getting a portion of the French Navy to help us defeat the British Navy was of real importance. Okay, but it's going to take them a while. If any of you have seen, I put the 2 clips of the film The Patriot. If any of you seen The Patriot, after that first battle scene, you have Mel Gibson's character arriving at the headquarters of the group that just ran away, and they talk about the fact that the French are coming. So in the movie, what you're looking at is 1777, 1778. So you're looking at what's going on just after the Battle of Saratoga. Okay, when the British had shifted their focus into the south. So it's really important, this battle, to understand that this is the battle that makes the French believe that we can actually do this thing. And so from this battle forward, the French are willing to sign an alliance with us and continue to give us all the weapons and supplies that we need. Okay, the French alliance, again, they have been providing goods, muskets, powder, ammo. The results of Saratoga convinced them to formally enter the war on our behalf. In 1778, the French fleet arrives, and we're able to make effective use of it up and down the coast to receive supplies and things from the French. Okay, I think it's important for us to understand that, because when we do the Declaration, as we're going to talk about the Declaration of Independence next, when we finally produce the Declaration of Independence, it's not a letter sent to England. England already knows. We've been shooting at each other for almost 2 years at this point. England already knows that we are separated from them. The Declaration of Independence was written to the nations of the world to justify our actions of separating ourselves from the English government, because the English government had failed to protect the rights of these British subjects, and so they severed their connection with England. So in the next video, we're going to talk about 3 documents that we're going to take a look at. These 3 documents: the Declaration of Independence, the Articles of Confederation, and the Constitution of the United States. So